We've all grown up listening to bedtime stories of ghosts. Sometimes we think the footsteps we hear at night means our house is haunted. We've all heard of things like skinwalkers, wendigos, gray men, sometimes just strange things you might see at night. Especially if you've grown up in the early 2000s, then I think we're all familiar with creepypastas. Often reality can be a lot scarier than something we might see on a YouTube video online. This story comes from a user describing something unusual happening in their neighborhood, something that's been eating their pets. It's not uncommon for someone's pet to be picked off by a common coyote or be hit by a car. Sometimes they leave without notice. But I think I'll let this user describe exactly what happened so we get a better picture. Quote, "This started around 2 years ago. My husband and I live in a suburban neighborhood with friendly neighbors and a nice community. I moved in from the country looking for other humans to interact with. The closer stores are a bonus. We own a little chihuahua, and since they are main targets for coyotes, we always kept him inside. But now that we live in a fenced-off yard, I felt a lot better letting him outside. Since my time in the country, I became used to the various animal calls at night, so I wasn't fazed when I started to hear coyotes again. Something about this coyote was different. Our neighbor's cat was viciously taken, and there was nothing left on his porch but a few bloody paw prints. Once these attacks started happening frequently enough, we got the police involved. They advised to keep our pets inside at night and for smaller dogs or animals to wear anti-coyote coats. Eventually, the coyote or coyotes should eventually leave, as coyotes tend not to stick around where there's human activity. But this coyote in question did not want to leave. They told us that if anyone was to see anything, to call the police and they would take care of it. End quote. The user didn't update anything for a few months or so until eventually there was an update to the post, talking about their endeavors to catch the beast. Quote, "The calling at night started to keep me up at night, and eventually I couldn't take it anymore. He does some hunting during the season, so we have a few traps and set one out with a chicken breast for bait. Nothing happened for such a long time. We were about to take it out due to the smell, when one night there was an awful screaming from the yard. It was horrible. I rushed to the door with my flashlight and camera, and what I saw made my blood turn cold. The smell alone made me want to throw up. It was a sickening, awful, rotten, sweet, sickly smell. But nothing was worse than the sight that was in the trap. It was around the size of a small bear, but completely without fur. It had long, human-like limbs, and contorted itself in such a manner I've never seen in an animal before. This was not a coyote." For a while, the post circulated on the internet with popularity and people were begging for an update, but unfortunately, there is no update provided, so I think we can assume that whatever thing was bothering them has gone away. Now let's move into the possible causes of whatever has been causing these pets' disappearances. Most likely the user was describing a coyote, probably with mange, as would fit the hairless description. Coyotes with mange sometimes look vaguely human-like or childlike in appearance, especially if you don't know what you're seeing at night. Often the darkness can play tricks on our mind. I find it rather unlikely that it was a bear, as bears don't live in the Michigan region where our user is from, and bears typically don't go after small animals alone, as they're more inclined to rifle through trash cans. As large as a bear does match the description that our user used, which she did describe it as a bear-like creature. The problem with this is that if it were a bear, it would be highly unlikely that no one in a large neighborhood or even a small neighborhood would never see something as big as a black bear, especially the police. Now that we've discussed causes of known animals, let's move into supernatural causes. There's a popular creature of Native American origin that's often depicted in popular media like games, news articles, and art pieces. It is described as a human-like form with long talons and a deer skull for a head. Viewers listening to this probably know what I'm talking about.
Okay, so this is where something else does enter the frame.
Something is clearly happening here, and we might find something here that's a lot deeper than we think.
But if you're unfamiliar with this type of cryptid, it is of Native American origin. It's feared by many and is such a taboo topic that they don't even say its name. I'm talking about the Skinwalker. Skinwalkers are something of a popular tale among many folk. Even though its origin comes from the Navajo Indian tribe, the knowledge of this creature and stories told are not confined to just the Native American tribes. Many people of different backgrounds and stories have told their own experiences of what they consider skinwalkers, sometimes described as gray men, or typically the most common form that they appear in are coyotes or foxes with mange or some sort of disease, and they stand on their back legs in a very haunting manner. Sometimes they sound like a human crying at night or a woman in pain. Skinwalkers are witches or wizards who use dark magic to transform into animals and beasts, and are not to be trusted. Sometimes they can transform into people and try to lure them into the forest by taking the appearance of someone they know. This supernatural being is also often misidentified and mixed up with another Native American creature known as the wendigo. Now forgive me if I butcher this name, but the wendigo originally comes from the Algonquin tribe in the forests and snowy regions of North America and Canada. It is described as a tall and pale, sickly human, sometimes skinny as a skeleton or bloated, that is summoned after someone commits cannibalism. Whether or not this is a viable cause, I can't be sure, as I do know that I don't know everything, but I don't really believe in the supernatural. Many people are quick to assume something as a skinwalker, ghost, something other of this world whenever they catch something in the corner of their eye, or when they're already nervous about something and they expect to see something in the shadows. Whether or not they really do see something, or it is our imagination, is yet to be known. to get a better picture of maybe what a creature of this size would be doing in an area like this, I went out into the field and looked for tracks and other signs of creatures that could fit this description. I did eventually find evidence of something large or unusual leaving traces behind, but in the end, I can't really say I have much of a conclusion to this. I suppose whatever has been bothering our user online will be unsolved for now, but I will keep looking for an answer. In other words, thank you all for watching, and I hope to see you in the next episode of the Cryptid Files.